Next, the best of the Filmmakers show coming up. Stay tuned. Welcome to the best of the Filmmakers show with Welcome to the Best of the Filmmakers show with Jerry and Joann Parisi on channel 115.
And Kendall's going to learn how to drive. And with us today, a wonderful friend and very important to New York State, an esteemed guest by the name of David Kirkup, who is a certified New York State 19A examiner and SBDI qualified gentleman. So, David, what does SBDI also stand for?
Well, what the SBDI stands for is School Bus Driver Instructor, and what that means is that qualifies me to teach the refreshers, teach the pre-services that school bus drivers are required to take, both before hiring and periodically while they're working as bus drivers.
I'd like to just point out that David also has the ability to go over the driver's manual with Kendall, and we'll be talking about some important tips today, which are common sense, because we don't want to tell you how to drive, but there are implications, and in my opinion, I think it all starts from the beginning. Good habits start from the beginning.
Very true.
Alrighty, Kendall, how do you feel about learning how to drive a car today? It sounds like a lot of fun to me.
Just to let you know, these are all Jerry's toys. All right, so he's got them all in his office.
Well,
and he has them out now to use for this wonderful
props
display.
He's been kind enough to share his toys.
You can't have my buses. This is a 1959 General Motors fishbowl, and it says on the top, Manhattan and the Bronx Surface Transit Operating Authority. However, we will not be learning how to drive a bus today. We will go right into the most important thing. And Kendall, how do you feel? You're going to be getting ready to get your learner's permit. What do you feel about that?
I'm kind of nervous.
Why? You'll be able to drive everywhere. You won't have to worry about mom and dad taking you to his boyfriend's house. It's exciting, right?
I don't know, it's scary to me.
It's scary. Well, that's actually a good thing. Let's find out why. David, when you have a good respect and scare of the road, I think you become a better driver. Would you agree? Or
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. As long as you don't let that fear get to be too much. You know, if you fear so much that you can't operate the vehicle, then obviously it's a detriment. But if you're, maybe not fear is exactly right, but if you're respectful enough and cautious enough, then you can be a safe driver and navigate. And if you get, even better at it, then you can also learn to start anticipating the mistakes that other drivers might make, and also keep yourself even safer.
it's very interesting you say that, because both our guests last week, Alan and Reba Schwartz from the law firm, they pointed out some very important things that could happen if you don't do the right thing. And so
there are many consequences.
There are, especially monetary ones associated with driving that would, let's say, not be the best type of example to learn from. So today, learning from the best is one of the most important things. So David, according to the New York State Driver's Manual, and I take it you read all of these words, quick, what's word 59 on page 26?
That's cool.
The.
It is the. Look at that.
When you know, you know.
I'm telling you.
Oh, boy.
All right, let's try one more test for Kendall. On page, and I really can't see this, on page thick number 9, the fourth letter in the first word, down paragraph 2. What does it say? So it's important to study your book.
I know.
It's a trick question, actually. It was an ampersand.
Oh, no.
Joann, who taught you how to drive?
Dad.
No kidding. Where at?
East New York. He
Yeah.
took me on Atlantic Avenue and had to go around the medium. And it was a little interesting because I didn't let go of the wheel fast enough, and I was wounded on the medium. But Dad was he's actually still a good driver. And there was the first snowstorm, and everything turned to ice. And he took me down a very narrow road, Crossbreed Boulevard, and he slammed on the brake while I was driving to see how I would react when I started skidding.
We should point out that her dad has like a 20-foot leg, and that's how
No,
he did it.
yeah, well,
How
they
did he
didn't.
do
No, because we had the station wagon. I think then there was no dividers. He was right next to me. And
It was like a bench seat.
I guess, yeah, right, a bench seat.
That's what they call it, a
Exactly.
bench seat. There you go.
You know, and I was very good at that, and
Just-
I
I will
controlled
not
it.
be
I
doing
didn't hit
that,
any
yeah.
cars, which was a great thing.
Well, there's a lot of things that you have to pay attention on the road. But right now, I'm going to turn it over to David for the most important question. Getting started, like Kendall's going to do. What are some of the things that you would recommend as being the right way of getting started?
Well, just in general, and I don't want to get too technical or specific, so I'll try to keep it as general, so it's applicable to anybody. But first and foremost, I would say always, when it comes to studying, when it comes to taking the test, when it comes to actually taking the road test, it's going to sound silly. Breathe. Take a breath. Very often, we get so worked up and we get so afraid, so nervous about being put in these pressure situations where we're tested, where we have to perform, that we sometimes don't let our brains give us a chance to show what we know. So, you take that breath. Like before, when I was saying when you were doing your lines, I would said, take a breath. Just take a breath. It kind of resets. It gives you your mind and your body a chance to relax a bit. So first and foremost, take a breath. When it comes to, do you want me to get into like actual taking the written test?
Sure, we can.
Okay, just real quick. When you're taking an actual written test, just always be aware of what the question is asking you. Very often, sometimes the way they ask it, they'll give you the answer with the way they ask the question. So be very aware of what exactly they're asking you. And I would also stay away from extremes. So what do I mean by that? If you have an answer where it's like they're saying like this always is this or this is never that, that's usually almost always not the answer. Do you see what I did there? It's almost always.
Oh, I see that.
So when you have absolutes in there, that's usually almost always not the right answer. So very often, like when we look at the test and we see 4 answers, I have no clue. You want to give yourself the best shot of guessing right, and that's one of the things you do. Some answers are so obviously, if you take a breath and give yourself a chance to look at it, you see that they're wrong. You want to at least narrow it down so your chances of getting the right answer guessing is a lot easier if it's between 1 and 2 as opposed to 1 and 4.
Right. Okay.
I would think that
So-
on the learner's permit test, if I may interject, there's a lot of times you can find in the test the same answer you're looking for by going ahead. So the key to what I would have always done is if I don't have an answer right away, skip the question, go on to the next question, and suddenly you'll read, oh, wait a minute, that's the answer for the second question I skipped.
So,
Because the way they put it down as multiple choice, there's only so many ways to rewrite these things. And I'm not saying don't study the book. It's probably very important you do and go in there with a qualified head to do this. But so important that you know what you're doing, because in the way of getting a New York State driver's license, you're going to have to do first the written test, then it's going to be the
the road test.
road test with an examiner that may throw out questions to you while you're driving, or may just simply sit there and say, turn left. And you got to know what you're doing. And some of the most important things that you can do are actually understand the markings on the road. Because
Very
when
true.
you learn the markings on the road, that test becomes a little easier. Now, it's a lot to remember, but unlike Joann, who learned how to skid on ice first at Atlantic Avenue, Brooklyn,
I was good at it too.
Well done.
Thank you.
So,
And those streets were narrow.
they are narrow. They're not like Long Island over here. So let's take a look at things now. When you're driving, if we could grab one of these things, the first thing that I would think is understand the rule of the road. And let's take a look at the limit lines there. That would be that final one over there.
Jerry, actually, if I can just go back, you mentioned the actual road tests.
Yes,
And
please.
pay attention. Usually when I would have people going for road tests, and normally when I trained, I would train for people who already had regular driver's licenses, but going for the Class Cs or Class Bs with passenger school bus. In other words, to drive a school bus. What I would always say is, the driving part of the road test is very much like an open book test. Because all your answers are right in front of you. How
Right.
fast am I supposed to drive? Speed limit sign tells you. Where am I supposed to drive? All these lines on the road tell you where to drive. So the road very often will tell you. The only thing is you just got to make sure you're paying attention enough to listen to what the road tells you.
Right. And that's very important because if it is an open book, all you really have to do is pay attention to what you're doing. Generally, a town speed limit is 30 miles an hour and it's posted every so often. School zones, 20 miles per hour, and you don't begin 30 miles an hour after the school ends. You have to wait for the sign that tells you now resume regular speed or 30 miles an hour. And that's usually further.
Or in school zone, or in rare cases where there actually is no signs or no indication, whatever, then once you're 300 feet past the building, the last school building, is when you're allowed to then start going from 20 to 30 or from 15 to 30 or whatever the speed limit may be.
And that's very important to know as well. I will say this, we'll come back to school buses since we're talking about schools in a minute, but let's take a good look at the roads here. So now, using limit lines, like so, you can hold that up. This would be a limit line, this being your sidewalk and that being your double line. When you're driving, where do you think you go? Do we stop here, here, or here? Kendall, the answer comes from you. If this is a limit line, and David pointed out it's an open book, then tell me where would you stop the car? And how far from here? Like this or like that?
Like how you just had it.
Like this?
Yeah.
Okay, so she gets the correct answer. What did she win? The next question.
There's more?
Yes, there is. Now, this brightly colored yellow line, what do you think that might mean, Kendall? I mean, sort of like, looks like a barrier, right? David, what's that yellow line for?
That yellow line, the double yellow line rather, is to tell you to stay in between that and the curb, or if there's another line there. You're not supposed to cross any solid line you're not supposed to cross.
That is correct.
But especially a double yellow line.
That is correct. Now, if you go through this like this, let's grab me that red truck. And David, if you wouldn't mind holding the automobile in place.
Oh, no, kidding.
No, like that.
Right there?
No, like this one.
Go.
Or actually,
Over.
you hold that one in place. Good. Now, if you did go past the limit line, let's remember this, what could happen is the vehicle coming this way could hit you. And that's not a good idea. We don't want that to happen.
Makes
See?
for a bad day.
I would say so as well. Now, there are some other places limit lines are, and some very important places, unlike the ice on the road in Atlantic Avenue. This is a simulation of a railroad track. Now, I want to point out, this is really all not to scale, but it gives you an idea that things have to be done a certain way. Now, David, you'll hang on to that red truck. A railroad crossing will have gates. In some cases, they may not. They may only
Always.
have a limit line. So one of the most important things you can do is to pay attention to the gates that go down and when they go up, and wait that extra second until the lights go off the gate. Don't just assume it's going up, I can go. Because many times a second train following may trip that and go right back down. And that's not going to make for a good day either on your part.
Not at all. Always assume a train.
Right. So where would we stop your red truck if we were going to see a railroad crossing?
That for me, if we could.
You can, well, Ken, what do you think? Do we stop on a track?
No,
Why wouldn't you stop on a track?
because the train is on the track.
The train is on the track. Joann, make note of that. because when you're on your ice, you also want to make sure you don't want to miss that. No, and that's important. The train is on the track, and that's common sense, right?
Right.
I mean, if a train was coming down the street and it was not on the track, that would really be somebody's bad day.
I would say so.
But where would we stop the car? Kendall, point.
You tell me when to stop.
There.
She's right. 2 right answers bring you to the next question. That being said, are you allowed to go around the track? Like, let's take a look at this doing that.
Yeah, you
He's
wanna-
there. Are you allowed to go around this and go like this when you're crossing? Because the signs are over here and over here, and there's a room right there. I mean, can you go through that? Would you think you can go through that?
No, only if like you're allowed to.
No, you're not allowed to. Because if you get stuck here, and what's on the track, Ken?
The train.
The train. What happens to the car with the train?
Right. I mean it in a way like the train isn't there though. Like it's done.
But if the gates are down,
Then yeah,
can't do that.
no.
Correct. Because
To be fair, real quick, the only time you would be allowed to do that is if there's a problem with the gate and there's emergency personnel directing you through it.
that would be true.
That would
too.
be the sole exception.
Because I guess when you look at it that way, a policeman or emergency
Yes.
personnel are the only people that are allowed to disregard any traffic device, which could be a stop sign, a traffic light, or a railroad crossing, and perhaps others like construction, and allow you to pass. That's the only time you can do something like this. Because if you do it without their knowledge, without them being there, there could be some serious consequences.
Absolutely.
Right? Let's
No,
take
and
another look at that.
I've seen actually a car getting hit by a train. It's not pretty at all. So,
Oh, that's true.
yeah. All things at a road test site. Had the railroad tracks behind us, and we hear boom, look around, this car like,
You work away. Let's say your car actually stalled. You can't do that. Get out of your car and walk away. That would be away from your car, because chances are the car will go that way. Or, well, put it this way,
Yeah.
you don't want to get caught on the tracks.
Yeah.
Make sure you don't do it.
so. Yeah, walk opposite direction where the train's gonna hit. So if the train's coming this way, you're gonna walk that way.
That's exactly right.
Car's gonna be hit that way.
And it's going to send you away. So in other words, let's visualize.
Ideally, don't stall.
It's a good idea. If you stalled here, and the train's going to push the car, then you walk that way, away from the car.
Okay.
See,
Away from the car. And then also away from the tracks as well. So
As
it's kind of
fast
like
as
a
you
bit of
can.
an angle.
as
So it'd be
quickly
like-
as you can.
Kind of like that.
Remember too, and this, when there's a light, and now everyone's gonna go, and all of a sudden you have some dimwit didn't measure how much he has space to be the last car before the track, and now he's on the track.
You always want to make sure you
boggles
have
my brain.
clearance.
Yeah,
What you're referring
clearance.
to is making sure you have clearance, which I think you're going to want me to get into more with her a little bit later. So
In a little bit
we'll
of a
talk
while,
more
right.
about that.
So let's take a look at the next board over there. Okay. Now, this is a pet peeve of mine. Always have to look at the camera.
Is it showing?
Yep, just like that.
The whole thing?
The whole thing.
You sure?
Now, let's see. Let's grab an automobile there and let's use one of these buses. There you go. You're supposed to make the proper sound when you... That's it. There you go.
So, or
All right.
Yeah, that's more like
All right, so you got a bus coming down the street. Hold the sign.
right, am I holding the bus for you?
Yep, hold the bus. You got a bus
Hold the bus.
coming
hold
down the
bus.
street. Do you drive in this lane on the right-hand side of a bus to make your turn, like so?
Folks at home, ignore the X. That gives the answer away.
Yep. You don't, because that bus is going to turn like so. And he's going to go over that street. And now, if you are in there, you are riding against the law. And not many people understand that the shoulder is not a lane, regardless of what, unless you've seen the breaks in the line that say that shoulder is allowed to be crossed for making a safe turn. Can you elaborate on that, Dave?
So, yeah, I mean, the only exception would be is if, you're broken down or something like that and you can't help it, but then you're supposed to, mark your vehicles in other ways. So, yeah, the thing is with big vehicles, in which a bus is a big vehicle, you have a thing what they call the tail swing. That means that where the front wheels turn, basically the back wheels get dragged. So even if your front wheels here would make the turn around, the back wheels, hold on your face, kind of drags the back wheels over that. Which is why when you're driving big vehicles, right turns are generally considered the hardest turns to make because people are always driving over curbs and clipping
It's true.
corners and whatever.
And let's take a good look at the school bus because it's a little easier to see the wheels towards the back. All right, a school bus similar to this, and I have pet peeves to this because it's really a truck with windows attached. Okay, that's what happens. It's really that. It's got one of the hardest rides you can ride in, quite frankly, except for the driver who's been used to it. It's a wonder kids actually can be comfortable in something like this. But I digress. Let's take a look at this overhang. And for that, we'll use our little red car here. When that bus turns, okay, and it could even turn, let me do it this way. That bus, if you are close to it, you see what happens? That bus to turn can hit you. You should be mindful of a school bus. Give it that extra room because when he turns, though the rest of the bus goes with the turn, as David pointed out, the wheels drag to the right. So, like that. Now, David, when a school bus is getting ready to stop, what usually goes on from the driver's point of view?
If are you talking about a school bus driver himself?
A driver
what he has to do?
is going to pick up some...
Oh, so if you're talking about doing an actual pickup, school buses are by law supposed to communicate what they're doing to other drivers on the road so that you know. Because when it comes to the pickup and drop-offs, that's the most dangerous time for a student in the whole school bus process.
Right.
So what they're supposed to do is they're supposed to put on the amber lights to let you know that they're going to be coming to a stop, and then opening up the door and kids will be getting on and off the bus.
That is correct.
And of course, once the bus stops and you open the door, then it goes from amber to red lights.
So,
So
regardless of the side of the street you're on, take a look at this chart. Okay, now you got a really good idea of what the chart looks like. So, regardless of where the bus is on a main street, which let's say is a 4-lane street, you've got your bus, you must stop no matter what. You must also stop here no matter what. Because on the school bus on the side are 4 cameras on the left side of the panel and 4 on the right, which means 8 lenses are looking at you. And currently, I don't know what the exact number for the fine is now. Do you, off the top of your head?
for passing through a stoplight, stoplight of a school bus,
Yes.
it's incremental. The first one, last I heard, was $250, then
Right.
it's $500, and then it's $750.
Wow.
And if you are
Yeah.
caught, as Alan pointed out in last week's show, driving through that bus and a policeman happens to be there, it is no longer an equipment violation. It becomes a traffic violation. And now the points go on your license.
Yeah, it's almost much more serious when the police catch you doing it and give you the ticket that way.
That's
If
right.
it's camera stuff, then the ticket goes to the vehicle, not against the person with the license.
It's true.
So even if they're financially responsible, they can't prove immediately or necessarily that they're actually in the car operating the vehicle, so they just default to the vehicle.
Either way, but I think when you get points off your license, you're paying way more.
Oh, yeah.
And I have to be honest with you, the
That's a bill
amount
that keeps coming.
it does, because not only does your registration go up, your insurance will go up, and quite frankly, with today's technology, my feeling is very simple. If they know you've done things wrong and their computer brings up your license plate, you could be a target.
Yeah.
Not saying that you will be, but I am
Yeah.
saying.
And it can affect your livelihood too, because especially if you're a commercial driver, you have less points available than the regular driver, so you can end up losing employment. Yeah, and I think for men out of school, driving is the most common occupation. So
That's a very important piece of information that you should retain. Now, my favorite thing is watching people go through stop signs. Now, Kendall, you know what a stop sign is, right?
Yes.
Where do you stop on a stop sign? Maybe we can take a good look, and if there happened to be a stop sign on this corner, where do you think the car should stop? Here, here, or there?
Like, if it's right here,
That's right.
like slow down here and then stop there.
Slow down here and stop there. She continually gets this right because it's common sense.
you
don't
may not even
have to
need
look.
to read the book. No, too much.
I have to.
All right, maybe we should.
I think it's a very important thing, common sense. Unlike people who drive on ice at Atlantic Avenue without common sense,
Who would that be?
No. Dad made me do it.
the blame factor doesn't usually work well in the court.
devil
That being
made me do
said,
it.
yep. Now, there's some other things that we have here that are carefully made. All right, this is an interesting one. All right,
Actually,
now,
do you want to flip that one? Because that's the point you're talking about.
I think
or-
we're gonna flip this quick.
just in case the table is hiding some of it.
Yeah, we don't like table hides.
So.
It's like table reads in the real acting world, you never get it right. Okay, so this being said, what do you think this cross box might mean, just out of curiosity?
Like somewhere you can't go.
She's right. Basically, you don't block
There
the
you go.
box.
Yeah.
So if you had, let's put a couple of automobiles here. Grab one of those. And that. Okay. So I'm going to have this one here in this hand.
Woohoo! I get to buy a truck.
You get to buy a truck. Right. And this guy's driving like this. Whoop, 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 whoop.
Oh,
you
no.
know,
We lose more vehicles this way. You don't
Just
know.
like that. So when you're driving,
Your insurance rates just went up by the
the
way.
insurance rates did go up. Dropping an automobile on the floor under a table is really a misdemeanor. Now that being said, go ahead,
Yeah,
David.
you want me here? Or?
Yeah, you could do that one. I'll do this one. I'm allowed
Okay.
to go like this.
Wait,
Yeah.
because it's
And
not
not just
over
because it's his cars.
Right. But what does David has to do?
I'm gonna stop here.
Nope.
What?
Can't stop there.
Oh man.
Because
I
guess
gotta
what?
roll
You
it
can't
off.
stop there, because if this was here in front of Kendall's face, you'd be blocking the box. And guess what? Same thing with this guy. Now what happens here? He's blocking the box. Let's take a look with your truck where that would go.
So if I'm blocking,
All of a sudden we have a traffic jam. And you don't want a traffic jam, because that's what happens.